Hello, Tela Peralta team. This is Christoph with Kaiserworks. I'm going to walk us through this next set of deliverables. This is an update to the site plan, and I will start us out on a 1.0 here, looking at the site as a whole. The next slide that I show is going to be a zoom in of just this one quadrant here, where we can get into a little bit greater detail on the main events tent slash building, the parking area, and then this first set of single bedroom lodging, which is our tent sites. We can provide those sort of zoom in plans as needed for the rest of the site. I think this first round, we'd love to get your comments on the general approach and location of these different programmatic elements, and then um, set a list of deliverables as far as where else we need to zoom in and to what level of detail we'd like to show for this round. Moving just quickly across from right to left on the site, we have our main event site. We've integrated retail into this now. This is our vehicular drop-off. And then to the right of that, we have our first cluster of tent sites. To the left of that, we have a new structure here. This is a bar that is parallel with the building and also with the parking. These are oriented, as are a lot of these other smaller moments, all are oriented within a window that's defined on one side by the Dacite Cliffs, on the other side by the Tela Peralta Trailhead. We've dialed in that view corridor in our site plan and in our digital model, and that is what we really want to capitalize on. It's the beauty of the site, and so as much as we can, we're orienting things towards that. This is our parking area. We're now showing, and you'll see this on the next slide, we're showing the option of having bus parking as well as vehicular individual car parking, and this is shaded by virtue of a shade pavilion that sits atop those parking spaces. Let me go now to a little bit further in this direction on the site. We have our next tent cluster here. These tent clusters, we've spent quite a bit of time working on the access to the individual tent sites, working with the topography. The effort is really to minimize the amount of elevation change to each tent site, while at the same time trying to create a private entry experience for each tent site. Again, difficult to look at this level. We'll look at that a little bit more in the next slide. Moving over here, this is one of our medium banquet events. There's 3 total on this site. One is located here, one is located here, and then a third is located over here. This is also a banquet event located at the center here. And then this is our cluster of premier suites. These can sleep 4. They accommodate 2 queen or king size beds in each, and there's a total of 5 located here just north of East Gold Rush Road. Moving a little bit further down East Gold Rush Road, we're showing at this location here our spa healing building, and what we're proposing here, just coming off of the road without getting too deep in the weeds, we've done some schematic design plans here, but the idea is that you would enter into this somewhat mysterious building. We're envisioning something of a rammed earth structure. You are received in a small reception waiting area. There's a common waiting garden at the center, but the lower portion of this courtyard building would be treatment rooms. Each treatment room has a special view to the desert, and it has that shared interior courtyard, which should be a cool, lush desert environment where you're waiting to see your masseuse or whatever treatment has been prescribed. Directly adjacent to that, we have our H2 helipad, and then directly north and east of that, we have our amphitheater. This is a 200-person outdoor amphitheater, again with the backdrop view of the Dacite cliffs in the background. We think this is a really dramatic and spectacular view to be nestled against the topography that's directly east, and with that view towards the Dacite cliffs in the background. Directly below that, or to the south of that, we have keyed as number 9. This is our employee bunkhouses, and we have some design sketches on what these could be. A number of different things, but we see this potentially as future rentable space as well. This could be something of a feature, and I think we can do that in a cost-effective way that also adds to the story of the property as a whole. Down low here at the existing wash, we have our our range. This is our sunken archery, sunken firing range, and the total containment ballistic mulch. And then situated atop that for shade, we're showing solar panels. Moving now to our next slide. This is our zoom in, getting a little bit more detailed. It takes a second for this to populate, just given the size of the file. Here we're showing that we've established a radius, a 50-foot radius around each of the tent sites. We're doing this for audio separation, just so conversation level noise is not so apparent from one tent to the next. And then something else that we're doing across the site, we have one primary pedestrian walk that have these individual entries to the individual tent sites, so that there would be a marker and tent note or number located on the path, presumably with a small path light, and that would let you know that you're entering into private territory, into someone's own sort of private realm. And then at these switchbacks, we've turned off landscape for this plan for clarity, but at these switchbacks we're using vegetation to frame those views so that when you're in your tent you don't have direct line of sight to people on the path. You're also situated above that path, looking past and over the top of it towards, again, those dacite cliffs and the Tela Peralta trailhead beyond. And as you'll see in subsequent slides, we have a double loaded path. Actually, if I go back to slide number 1, you see this double loaded path. So we're sort of, again, trying to have as light a touch as possible on the site. You're walking down this path, and then in this case you would be walking down to and up to, depending on if you go right or left, the various tent sites. Moving towards this this alternative turnoff here, this is the primary drop-off, but for situations where there's two events going on, where you have, let's say, people populating this main area and or the dining hall that is directly towards the north and west of that, and somebody's doing a different event at this northwest outdoor sitting area, that would be accommodated by virtue of this secondary drop-off point. So we're showing a roundabout that has direct access to the vehicular parking beyond. So a standard route towards this moment here would either be coming to this point here and turning left for a formal drop-off, or if you've driven your own car and you're getting out of your car, you've parked somewhere over here, you find your way to this central landscape area, and that pulls you to the building through this area. We see this as a very kind of Instagrammable moment as well, when you're looking at the end or the long edge of this building across this this somewhat formal drop-off zone. We really think this could be made to be a very beautiful feature and perspective of the building. Moving directly to the north and east, we're showing bus parking here. This could also be, and I think it would be marked as single car parking as well, so it would double. Something that I mentioned in the email, this is East Gold Rush Road. This is the existing easement. The existing road deviates already slightly from it. We are showing a larger push away from from that existing easement. So Gold Rush Road, as we're proposing here, swoops down a little bit lower than is accommodated by the existing easement. So this would require a shift in that easement if we are to maintain the building form and location as we're showing. Moving to this last slide, I won't walk us through each of these individually. This is our first pass at addressing visually and with some text content each of the programmatic elements that's represented on the site. So we would love to hear your thoughts on each of these, how they're described, and we are open to any sort of edits that you have on this. Once we are dialed in and have accommodated all the programmatic elements on the site, we will then look at going deeper into each one of these. For example, the spa building deserves another round of conversation, talking about what sort of programmatic elements that we would be wanting to accommodate there, how many patrons we would want to accommodate at once, etc. And then that will allow us to dive into a level deeper of schematic design and take this vision to the next step. We look forward to your thoughts on this. Thank you.